Alright guys, so as you probably can tell from the title or the thumbnail, I'll just cut right to the chase. We fried the Haltech. Let me show you how that happened. This is the current location of the battery, which we relocated from the engine bay. And what happened when we were testing the brakes is we locked up the brakes, this thing flung forward, the battery terminal came off, the alternator's full voltage and 130 amps was let unregulated through the charging system, and the car died. After the car died, we could barely get it started. We had to crank it, rev it all the way up, and just try and limp it into the garage. And at that point I didn't even know anything was wrong. Or didn't realize, rather. So what happened is I went out here to start it the other day, just to move the car. Couldn't get it started. Crank. And one of the things I noticed was when I turned the key to ignition on, the cooling fan turned on right away. And I said, well, it's only supposed to turn on at over 180 degrees operating temperature. Sure enough, I plugged my laptop into the Haltech. It's got every error code possible. Every single sensor says it has an error. And every single volt reference is wrong, and all the numbers are jumping up and down. It says we're building boost even though the car's not even running, that the intake air temperature is 177 degrees. So anyway, needless to say, it's fried. It's an expensive piece of equipment. So I sent it off, mailed it off to Kentucky to Haltech's repair section, repair division. And fingers crossed they're going to be able to fix it up, not have to buy a brand new one, because if we do, it's definitely going to put it past the beginning of the year. Probably even after tax season, which means FC is going to be dead for a long time. If they can repair it, we'll get it back hopefully early December, because it's just before Thanksgiving right now, and then we can continue on with the project. That being said, we've learned a valuable lesson. Don't mess around with this expensive equipment. Get this battery tied down, double check all the wiring, and that's what we're going to be working on today. But first, since she doesn't run and drive anymore, we need to get these casters back under the wheels so I can get her moved down to the garage so I actually can work on her. So, here we go. Okay, so car's on the casters. Now comes the real fun part, moving it. Okay, that should be good enough for what we need. Okay, so here's some supplies I picked up just from O'Reilly's. I might not use all of it. This is obviously a battery tie-down top kit, and this is a battery box, which you might have to use. So in here I also have the stock battery tie-down bottom. Now of course this is mounted in the engine bay, and I was already fooling around with it and test fitting it, and these are definitely too high. So I'm going to do some combination of cutting these off and finding if we can bolt this to the chassis and then using these hooks to tie it down, or just using the battery box here and making a new mount for the battery. Next thing we need to do is reinstall this fiberglass panel. Now that one's already installed there, and what this does is it gives shape to the storage bins, which we are going to put back in. This one that goes over the battery will just be a top. It'll be easy access to the battery, hopefully, and I need to make sure everything clears and get the wires routed correctly so we can make this nice and neat. Okay, so I've got these rough bolted in place. I need to put some washers on these bolts that I picked up and pick up a few more. But just want to get it in place nice and solid so we can see the actual fitment for the battery. And I do have the lid right here. So let's see what kind of clearance we're working with. Give us an idea of where we need to make the mount. Yeah, so it's hitting in the front. Oh, okay, cool. So that's where the lid sits. Let's see here. We can open it up. Okay, now I can get some clearance ideas and coming up with a mounting solution. Okay, so after taking a look at a few different setups, I think the stock battery box might still be the best option. So I'm going to go ahead and try and trim down these ridges. The thing that sucks about that is there are bolt holes there, which would be useful. But I think we can get this trimmed down as a place for it to sit. It still has the hooks on the side to use those clamps, tie downs that I got. And then maybe put some sort of brace in here made of metal to bolt it down. I don't know. This is turning out to be pretty complicated, but as I've learned with my fried Haltech, very, very, very important. Okay, cool. So after cutting that down, it's in the bottom right now, and here's where the battery's sitting. It looks like it's pretty high up, but this can shut all the way and sit flush. So that seems good to me. Now we need to get it attached to the bottom. Don't know how well. Oh yeah, can see pretty decently in here. So this is just loose, unfortunately, but there is a bolt hole here that's still intact and a bolt hole here that's still intact. So if I can drill through and tap those into the chassis, should be able to get a nice firm mount there. And then this point and this point will have the clamps that come up and go across the top of the battery. So time to get the drill. Alrighty, so I had to go get dressed a little bit warmer because it's getting quite cold in the garage, and picked up some hardware. So we got some hardware down here. We're going to try and match that and mount it. We're going to drill through here with this nice powerful drill and drill into the chassis down here to get that mounted. I did go ahead and take a look under the car to make sure that I'm clearing everything where we want to put the holes, so we're not drilling into anything important, which is good because some fuel lines do run right under this piece here. So if you're going to try and do this for your battery relocation, just make sure you know where you're drilling. Okay, despite my best plans, ran into a little bit of a snag. Got our hole drilled here, and this hole here lines up great with the battery tray, but this hole goes down into an interior part of the chassis. It doesn't go through to the bottom, so I'm not going to be able to run a bolt, or excuse me, put a nut on the other end. So I'm actually going to tap this so that the bolt threads into that, and it's actually a good thickness for the body sheet metal, so it should work fine, but I gotta get my tap set and run a tap through there now. Okay, actually I was wrong. After further inspection, when I shine a light through there, I do see it coming through right there, so it's just above the subframe. So I can get the bolt on the other side, or the nut rather, on the other side of the bolt, so we should be good to go. Okay, I just finished bolting everything up from below. Even found time to remove this exhaust hanger that we're not using with our single exit exhaust. A little bit of weight reduction. Just kidding. It was in my way and bothering me, so it's out of the car now. Now, let's take a look here. So, we've got our 2 bolts that go through with a nice washer underneath. This thing is in here. It is in there nice and tight. So now we'll test fit the battery with the new hold down ties, and we'll see how it looks and see if it's nice and snug. Okay, here it is. Now obviously these little things over here, I'm going to have to get my cutoff wheel and cut those down because they are sticking up quite a bit, but we've got it mounted in here nice and tight, and I'm pretty happy with it. This thing does not budge at all, which is good. So a successful install and something that was much needed and probably should have, well, definitely should have already been done. So there you have it, guys. A very quick video tonight, but it's been a while since we put a video up, and the reason why is because of what happened with the Haltech. So just want to give you guys a quick update and give you a quick little tutorial and a rundown of what happened with ours, and just advice, you know, don't skip this step. We did. You can see it was a pretty involved process just to get this mounted. We don't have a kit or anything to go off of, so it took some custom work, but it's very doable and it is well worth it. It's going to save you money, save you headaches. Also worth noting, tighten down the battery connections. We were, just because we're doing so much testing off and on, not tightening them down every time. Very, very bad idea, because if we had at least tightened down the battery connections when the battery tipped over, they probably wouldn't have fallen off. So lots to be learned. Learn from my mistake. Do not do this yourself. You guys know what to do. Please remember, like, comment, and subscribe. When they ask you, tell them you want more, and we'll see you in the next one.